Kingdom begins with two orphan boys, Xin and Piao, who have recently been bought as slaves by an elderly man named Uncle Wo. Despite having a difficult life, they strive to survive and care for one another. They even share the same ambition and dream of becoming one of the great generals, having experienced the grandeur of General Oki. In their spare time, after gathering wood and chopping logs, Xin and Piao would practice in the center of the forest with wooden swords they had made themselves. They've always trained together to increase their fighting skills and agility. After daily practice, they develop into skilled swordsmen and combatants. When they were practicing together, a general called Cheng noticed Piao's sword fighting abilities and praised them. The next day, General Cheng visited Uncle Wo's residence and informed him that the royal party was recruiting royal soldiers from various provinces. The goal of his visit to Uncle Wo is to request permission to send Piao to the kingdom to be trained as one of the kingdom's special troops. Although Xin does not have the same opportunities as Piao, he is pleased with the offer and encourages Piao to pursue his passion. That night, before they parted ways, Piao and Xin practiced sword fighting one last time and promised to pursue their aspirations. Xin is resolved to practice harder so that he may catch up with Piao and become a royal soldier, bringing them one step closer to their goal of becoming great generals. Xin began to train more intensively on the hill in the next days, improving his sword technique. His intense training showed to have substantially enhanced his combat abilities, as he was able to easily crush a boulder with his wooden sword. A few days later, while recuperating in his hidden hut, Xin was astonished by Piao's entrance, who was gravely injured. In his dying state, Piao says that there has been a coup in the kingdom, and the younger brother of the ruling king has ordered someone to kill him. During the commotion, royal authorities sacrificed Piao by assigning him to pretend to be the king. Before he died, he directed Xin to a village on the map he had taken with him. He explains that Xin will encounter an army in the village that will teach him to become a more powerful fighter. That night, Xin dashed for the village Piao had told him about. However, he was besieged by a group of thugs and forced to battle them. Fortunately, thanks to his extensive training, he was able to easily fight all of the thug group members on his own. After continuing his trek, Xin arrived at the destination town and discovered a little cabin occupied by a monarch named Qin who had fled the realm. King Qin then explained to Xin that General Cheng had purposefully brought Piao to the realm because he had a face extremely similar to his. They intended to deceive the royal officials who had deceived and launched a coup with his younger brother, Prince Sikyo. On the other side, the royal army forces arrived at Uncle Wo's house and discovered Piao's lifeless body. Jeet, a general and Prince Sikyo's collaborator, understood that the person he had previously killed was a commoner named Piao, rather than King Qin. Meanwhile, Xin, who now realizes that the kingdom tricked and sacrificed Piao, is furious with King Qin. During the debate, an assassin dispatched by Prince Sikyo unexpectedly came in their hut with the intent to kill King Qin. The assassin ordered Xin to assassinate King Qin because he and other royal officials had murdered Piao. Xin, however, assaulted and murdered the assassin, rather than listening to his comments, since he felt the assassin was responsible for Piao's death. After a fierce combat with different lethal attacks, he was able to kill the assassin. After the fight, he went back to King Qin and expressed his displeasure since he still couldn't accept Piao's death. However, King Qin attempted to calm Xin by explaining that all of Piao's suffering was a sacrifice to preserve the entire country. King Qin said that he needed to survive, so that royal power did not pass into the hands of his younger brother, who was harsh and corrupt. Because if that happens, the kingdom will be annihilated. King Qin then encouraged Xin to join him in forming a new army and reclaiming the kingdom from Prince Sikyo, ensuring that Piao's sacrifice and death were not in vain. On the other hand, when Prince Sikyo learned that King Qin was still alive, he was devastated and outraged. He then directed his conspirators to dispatch other assassins to track down his older brother. The next day, as King Qin and Xin were going through the forest, they were abruptly assaulted by an assassin with a poisoned needle weapon. Xin fought the assassin until he was able to slash the man's head with a sword. After effectively killing the man, he collapsed and began to lose consciousness as the poisoned needle struck his body. Fortunately, King Qin was able to save Xin and nourish him till his recovery. When Xin awoke from his sleep, they were surprised to see a troop of royal soldiers burst into their hiding area. Fortunately, the royal army was led by General Cheng, who remained faithful to King Qin. After expressing his allegiance to King Qin, General Cheng assisted him in devising a plan to recover the royal throne from Prince Sikyo. However, despite the fact that Prince Sikyo has yet to assassinate King Qin, he decides to declare himself the new king in front of the kingdom's full army. Meanwhile, King Qin felt pessimistic because his force was much smaller than the royal armies. Hearing this, one of the generals encouraged him to approach the mountain tribes and seek for their assistance in building a greater army alliance. Knowing this, King Qin consented and promptly ordered his entire army to depart for the mountain tribe territory. After a long trek along several difficult ways, King Qin and his army arrived at the mountain tribe's border territory. However, when they arrived, they were not favorably received by the mountain tribe troops and were held hostage. After appearing in front of the mountain tribe's leader, King Qin expressed his desire to ask the mountain tribe for assistance in reclaiming the royal throne, which had fallen to his younger brother. Hearing this, the mountain tribe leaders opposed his request, citing their betrayal by the royal highs, who killed numerous mountain tribe troops. King Qin refused to give up so easy, so he apologized to all members of the mountain tribe for the faults perpetrated by previous royal officials. Hearing the sincerity of his repentance, the mountain tribe leader agreed to forgive him and assist him in reclaiming the royal throne. The mountain tribesman will join with his army to invade and attack the royal palace. Following that, King Qin and his allies devised plans to assault the royal armies from several angles. He would send Xin and General Cheng to lead the first army, while he would disguise himself as a mountain tribe member, and lead the second army alongside the mountain tribe and its leader. The next day, after the mountain tribe's army and King Qin's army arrived at the kingdom, the mountain tribe's chief met with the kingdom's commander and announced that her warriors would join the army of Prince Sikyo's kingdom. Hearing the mountain tribe's noble intentions, the royal commander welcomed their forces inside the country. After all, the mountain tribesmen and King Qin's army had successfully entered the realm and quickly attacked the army of soldiers stationed at the entrance. After that, King Qin directed Xin and the first army to go the hidden road, while he and the second army would assault via the main route with the mountain tribal leader. A massive battle quickly erupted, with mountain tribal troops attacking the kingdom's defending men. King Qin was able to overcome the majority of the royal warriors because to the mountain tribe's fighting ability and physical power. In order to infiltrate the secret path, Xin and the first army had to combat a tremendous enormous monster. Although the men initially struggled to battle the monster, Xin eventually killed it with a massive sword stroke. Xin and the first squad then managed to gain access to the royal palace and assassinate Prince Sikyo there. However, Prince Sikyo arrogantly sat on the throne, calling out to one of the kingdom's strongest generals, General Ji. Xin was challenged to a one-on-one duel with General Ji, which he accepted without hesitation. They fought fiercely since they both possessed exceptional sword-fighting abilities. Xin, on the other hand, had a much stronger spirit and drive than General Ji, and he ultimately won the duel. After seeing General Ji dead in front of him, Prince Sikyo fled the palace. However, King Qin and the army of the mountain tribes had already surrounded him in front of the palace gates. King Qin's struggle against Prince Sikyo required little effort, because he could easily defeat him with a single blow. Shortly after, General Oki, the neighboring kingdom's strongest general, approached King Qin and questioned why he had fought the fight. King Qin said that he needed to recover the throne so that royal power could not be abused by traitors. He aspires to bring all of Japan's kingdoms together in order to establish justice and harmony. Hearing his explanation, General Oki agreed to his wishes and pledged to assist him in achieving peace. However, one of the royal generals who remained faithful to Prince Sikyo refused to acknowledge King Qin's victory and promptly sent his forces to attack General Oki and King Qin. But with complete confidence, General Oki could easily beat all of the men in a single onslaught. Seeing this, the general who supported Prince Sikyo became enraged and moved to assault King Qin. Fortunately, Xin immediately resisted the general's strike and pulled his sword, causing the general to perish. General Oki lauded Xin's brave acts and predicted that he would one day become one of the kingdom's most powerful generals. After thanking Xin, General Oki and his warriors left the kingdom, but not before Xin gave him his name and urged him to remember it. Now that Prince Sikyo has been beaten and all of the traitorous generals have died, King Qin and his army are celebrating their victory because they were successful in reclaiming the royal throne from traitors. The mountain tribes celebrated the triumph as if it were their own. Before leaving the royal palace, the mountain tribe's leader presented Xin with a sword of pride as a prize for his courage and dedication. Xin was getting closer to his dream of becoming a great general in the future kingdom, now that he had the recognition of a general as powerful as General Oki and the proud sword of the mountain tribe. The movie concludes, this film teaches us to be more cautious because even those closest to us can betray and stab us in the back. While Xin's story teaches us that even in a difficult life, such as that of a slave, we may improve our circumstances by having a strong desire to achieve greater goals.